You can now get a 30-day trial to experience The Athletic for free. Visit the link in the description below to try it now. One phone call changed the face of European football. It came when Lionel Messi rang PSG coach and fellow Argentinian Mauricio Pochettino, making it clear that he wanted to join PSG. Pochettino passed the message up to the boardroom, and soon after, conversations began between Nasser Al-Khelaifi and the player's entourage. Jorge Messi had spoken to Al-Khelaifi before, and PSG were quickly convinced that he would join. You see, the motivation for Messi was partly financial, but also that he knew Pochettino, while his former Barcelona teammate Neymar has been publicly and privately encouraging him to join PSG since last year. Fellow Argentines Angel Di Maria and Leonardo Paredes are also close to Messi. As the deal began to accelerate on Thursday evening, Al-Khelaifi received the advice of the club's head of sponsorships, Mark Armstrong, who was set the challenge of working out the commercial potential of signing Messi. Armstrong is a former vice president of marketing at the NBA and commercial director at the NFL. The precise calculations remain private, but the club believes an uplift in sponsorship deals, ticketing, tours, and the profile of the French league will follow. Indeed, sources close to PSG argue that their investment in Messi will pay for itself in the years to come. Others who view the club more cynically will question how the signing of Messi can fit within the framework of UEFA's financial fair play regulations. PSG already have Neymar earning €31 million net per year and remain locked in contract negotiations with Kylian Mbappe. PSG have insisted throughout the past few days that Messi's arrival will not impact Mbappe's future, yet rarely has there been a situation where two clubs are so convinced a player will be theirs. Real Madrid's sales this summer, particularly defender Rafael Varane's move to Manchester United, are predicated around creating funds to sign Mbappe. Whether that is this summer or more likely on a free transfer in a year's time. Yet PSG continue to insist that the France striker will re-sign and believe Messi's arrival will help convince him to stay. As for PSG's own finances, sources insist the club's growing commercial profile will cover the costs and that there is space on their wage bill for the Messi deal to fall within the remit of FFP. Following Juventus' 2018 signing of Cristiano Ronaldo, the Italian club upped ticket prices, went back to core sponsors to renegotiate and uplift existing deals, and accelerated social media growth to give more exposure to the commercial clients. These steps are now expected at PSG too, who were made aware internally of marketing data that suggested up to 10% of tourists who visit Barcelona cite football and Messi as their prime motivation. The French government is also said to have privately expressed their pleasure with the possibility of Messi moving to Paris. It does feel optimistic to argue that a club who already have Mbappe and Neymar in their team could secure dramatic additional growth by signing Messi, yet this is the initial feedback PSG have heard from commercial partners and in-house analysts. Al-Khelaifi held extensive talks with Jorge Messi throughout Friday, and by that afternoon, the thrust of the agreement was in place. At Barcelona's training ground, there was shock as the news filtered out, and hostility. On Friday, Antoine Griezmann was left distressed while driving into the complex as he was heckled by supporters who suggested his refusal to leave the club and thus reduce the wage bill contributed to Messi's departure. Back at PSG, Messi will receive a post-tax €25 million signing-on fee in addition to a €25 million per year in salary for the time that he spends at the club. The contract is a 2-year agreement but includes the option of an additional third. His legal representatives travel to Paris on Saturday to finalise the terms and complete the last and most spectacular of their summer coups. But there's also the broader narrative to this latest signing. PSG are owned by Qatari investors, but the club's ultimate owner, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, is also the emir and head of state in Qatar. The next 18 months are monumental for the image that country wishes to present to the world ahead of and during the 2022 World Cup. For a Qatar-owned club to possess Mbappe, Messi and Neymar in the run-up to the tournament yields significant commercial potential and ensures that major voices in the sport are lining up behind the project. Sources familiar with Messi's deal at PSG said that the contract does not contain a specific clause obliging him to appear at the World Cup next year should Argentina qualify, but it is expected that such an agreement will be reached once he's on board. He will be 35 by then, so almost certainly it will be his final World Cup as a player, a huge boon for the Qatar tournament. And for those who follow Qatari diplomacy closely, or perhaps Newcastle United, will also know that tensions remain with their Saudi Arabian neighbours. As a result, the Qataris will take pleasure in signing Messi, particularly after reports surfaced earlier this year claiming he'd been approached by the Saudi tourist board to become one of the faces of their brand. For Al-Khelaifi personally, it caps an extraordinary calendar year in which he has emerged as the most authoritative voice among European football executives. When the Super League idea emerged in April, PSG, Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund declined to participate. Following the initial announcement, the Super League 12, dubbed the Dirty Dozen, worked around the clock on Al-Khelaifi. They warned his club would be left behind. They cautioned that the French league, beset by economic hardship, would fade into irrelevance, and yet he resisted. Nobody at PSG is brazen enough to suggest that there was a Machiavellian plot to spike the Super League and cherry-pick Messi, yet that is how it has worked out. PSG refused to bail out Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool and the Milan clubs, and then signed crucial players from all 5 sides, including arguably the greatest player in the sport's history. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do enjoy Tifo, then you'll probably also like The Athletic. If you watch our tactics videos, you should go and read Michael Cox. If you're into data, read Tom Warville. And if you're into transfers, it's David Ornstein. Plus, if you're a fan of any Premier League team, then there's a journalist dedicated to you, and you can try it for free for 30 days now by clicking the link in the description.